It's 7 o'clock, so I need a motion to reconvene open session.
So moved.
Second? Those in favor? Okay, if you would, stand with me for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And as you notice, I am not Lisa Welker. She is entertaining out-of-town guests this evening, and Angie Osha is traveling, so we are down to the 5 of us, plus our student advisors. Moving on to special recognitions, and we'll begin with Dr. Sherry Severe, who is representing the Missouri School Counselor Association, and has a presentation. Would you like to come forward?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Board of Education members, thank you so much for providing me an opportunity to recognize one of the outstanding school counselors of the Hillsborough R3 School District. My name is Dr. Sharon Severe. I'm the Director of Advocacy for the Missouri School Counselor Association. Sarah Dix has distinguished herself to be a visionary and a leader in the field of school counseling. At the state level, Sarah has served the school counselors of Missouri in multiple ways, most recently as the president-elect, president, and past president of the Missouri School Counselor Association. Sarah's state conference theme was "We Got the Beat," and without a doubt, Sarah definitely demonstrates that the beat she walks as a school counselor and a leader is impressive in its strength and commitment. When Sarah came into the presidency of MSCA, our association was in the midst of significant change in its governance structure. Change comes hard to some, but Sarah challenged the status quo and was a champion for the changes that have led our organization to thrive. She worked closely with the governing board, encouraged open discussion, built trust, encouraged new processes, and made the tough decisions that went along with the changes. As a result of her dedication and commitment to her profession, MSCA is now one of the strongest school counselor associations in the nation. Sarah's devotion to school counseling continues. She is the lead counselor on a new task force at DESE that is a response to House Bill 1415, calling for a course on career readiness. We couldn't be more grateful for her continuing leadership. As a token of our appreciation, the Missouri School Counselor Association is donating $1,000 as a scholarship to the School Counseling Department of Hillsborough High School. Sarah has requested that the money be used for the professional development of the high school counseling staff. The Missouri School Counselor Association is indebted to the support of Dr. Freeman and the Board of Education for Sarah. We're grateful and we thank you for lending Sarah to us to be our leader, spokesperson, and role model. She's represented your school district and your community with pride and excellence. Many, many thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Wow.
much. Thank you.
Sarah, before you sit down, on behalf of the School Board of Education, Mrs. Renee Saharsky is presenting to you a medal from the board in recognition of your service to the district.
Congratulations.
And it's nice for outsiders to realize what we know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, moving on to high school good news. Ms. Dr. Freeman.
Good evening. Beginning in October of this year, the high school life skills class is going to be partnering with Quality Inn and Festus and the YMCA, and they're going to be working on gaining valuable life and work skills, and that's a new partnership for us, so we wanted to share that with you, and we're very excited about it. Our Renaissance team awarded over 400 students with reward cards for having a 3.0 grade point average or above, and that includes over 90 students with a 4.0 and above in the high school, so we're very proud of them. And today, delegates from each school in the district visited several local emergency responder departments to say thank you for all that they do and keep our community safe. So today is National Emergency Responders Day, and we took students from each of the buildings. It was so much fun, and we put them on a bus, and we took them to the police department, the sheriff's department, Valley Ambulance, the fire department here in Hillsborough, the Naperville Fire Department, and we just had the greatest time. We shared, the kids had made cards, each building had sent cards that they had made and banners that the students had made, and we bought them Krispy Kreme donuts, and we took a box to each department, and it was just awesome. And Molly was with us. I keep looking at Molly, but we had 6 kids from each of our areas, each building, so 6. So it was awesome. It was a great experience.
Fun, cool. Thank you. Okay, anyone sign up? And no sign-ups. So moving on to the action items by consent. Do I have a motion to approve the consent items as presented?
I'd like to pull the meeting minutes from Wednesday meeting.
The work session of September the 12th. Okay. So that's going to be pulled. Any others?
Second.
Thank you. So those in favor of the action items with the exception of the work session minutes? In favor of?
Should I abstain from August 23rd? Abstain from August 23rd on consent.
Okay. Okay, and now we will address the minutes from the work session of September the 12th. Those in favor of approving those minutes as presented?
Abstain.
In favor? So we don't have enough to approve. Oh, we don't have enough to approve that, so it has to go on next. Huh? Seriously? I mean, I'm new at this. So all 3 of you were asked?
On August 23rd.
I'm not disappointed.
I didn't know anybody, I didn't know who else was not here, but I know I wasn't here.
But the work session on September 12th, you were here on the work session.
You're still only gonna have
Oh, we're still only going to have 3 and we need 4. So that's going to have to be full.
Don't you just need a majority?
I think we need a quorum for work session.
Or to conduct business, which is the majority to approve.
I don't know.
4, it's 4 votes required for action.
Okay. All right. I'm not sure that's ever happened before. All right. Reports. Superintendent search report. We do not have a report from Dr. Underwood this evening. He's not here. We did get an email from him. Applicants were, the applications deadline was Monday, and there were 13 applicants that replied. And in his kind of note to us, that he felt the majority of those were very good, workable candidates. So we will be meeting with him later in October to go over that. So, facilities and grounds. Ray Bass.
Good evening, everyone. I'll make this short tonight. Basically, past month, we've basically been looking at pre-wall construction, as you know, in some buildings and doing normal operation for our students. So again, kind of a short repeat, repair. First of all, thanks for everything you guys do for us and everything. And basically, the buildings are going well with the construction. Hope you'll get an opportunity to see it. We didn't present a video tonight, but we will have one probably next month, so you'll see a lot more done and everything. Because right now they're kind of in that stage where it's like it's getting stuff done, but you don't really notice it too much yet. But we will have a good report by next month, and it looks like right now, we're getting ready to be able to hand over the elementary administration wing here in another month and a half. So they're gonna be real excited over there, so it's coming real well. They're doing the floor tile now, they've got everything else in play, so that will be right on target. So that's a good one, so. But other than that, pretty well. We're working on getting the lighting back in play over at the elementary. That'll be happening after we do the water line, which will be Friday. We'll finish up it. After that, we'll hook on the parking lot lights. If you haven't noticed, they've not been on for a couple months. But that should hook on and put all that back in play as well for us, especially with the time change that come along around the corner. So, other than that, we've just been basically just kind of staying busy, taking care of situations and keeping everything working. So, I think the operations and administration has done great. Scott, which I wanted to give him an attaboy too as well, and I know a lot of people helped him, but the retirement party issue they had the other day was outstanding. So
Yes, it
for
was.
their first one, so great job there, guys. But a lot of good things go on, that's for sure. But I did want to highlight that one. But other than that, we're just taking care of business and hope everything's going well for you guys. So, any questions or anything?
Thank you.
All right, always around if you need me.
All right,
Thank you. Thank you,
we have your number.
Thank you.
Okay. Kathy Ringo, all right, technology.
Good evening. We had, during the past month, between August and September, completed 289 work orders. Pretty impressive. The guys worked really, really hard on that. We have a new intercom installed at the high school in Bell System, so it seems to be working really well. None more issues with the intercom not working. We're following along on our construction progress. As things are done, we're slowly adding things in. Training, we attended a staff training on the intercom system, how to use it. Ethan did a training class at the intermediate on Chromebook troubleshooting, and then I did a training on Infinite Campus ad hoc recording at the high school. We installed and delivered 266 Chromebooks, so that last order that we had came in. And updated computers with the latest version of the Ames Web Plus software, and we had to work with Ames Web on some issues to make sure it was syncing with Clever, which is our system which automatically imports all the student names into Ames Web, so we're not having to update it every time we get a new student. So that took a little bit on their part to get it straightened out. But, any questions?
Been working hard.
Thanks.
Okay, Ms. Kelly Ginch, financial report.
Our years, we're off to a good start. I don't have a whole lot to report because we're in 2 months and everything on my graphs is trending just how we would expect. I mean, it's moving right along. So beyond that, we had auditors in last week, so it was really busy getting them everything they needed so they could get their work completed and move along to their next client. So they were in for 4 days and we're in good shape. So I hope to present that in November as long as they are available to come on that date of our board meeting. As far as the revenue goes, I have the tax levy that we're going to approve later on the agenda, and then I will be able to do a budget amendment next month because I think we'll probably be a little bit more revenue than what I had initially anticipated. Other than that, I don't have anything else.
Okay, best to be that way for you.
Yeah, thanks.
Student advisors, Molly and Joshua.
Not to like create suspense or anything, but I'm working on something with Dr. Freeman and Ray Bess, and I'm planning to bring it to a board meeting soon. But that's all I have to say.
So secretive is what you're saying. Look forward to step 2. All right. Okay, moving on to unfinished business. We want to pull, yeah, definitely. Pull from the table the Jefferson County SRO contract and consider it. And Dr. Isaacson?
We're not going to pull it from the table.
We're not.
They have not sent back. I reached out to the sheriff. I suppose it was earlier last week again, and he responded that he had gotten it back from the attorney and followed up with, were they okay with these changes? And so I offered him to be able to visit with our district attorney to kind of, that
Speed
would make it
things up.
faster, but I still have not received that contract from them, so we need to leave that.
There it is. Okay, and we'll move on then. Moving on to new business, which the first one is the approval of the City of Hillsborough SRO contract. Do I have a motion to authorize the reallocation of funds for an additional school resource officer and approve the contract with the City of Hillsborough Police Department? Second? Discussion. You want to speak to that?
This is the position that we had discussed prior. So we've received the MOU. We asked the city to make a couple changes, and they were on board with that. So I sent that revised copy out to you. So now we're excited to bring them on board.
And so when does this begin?
October 1.
October 1, so next Monday.
Yeah.
Next Monday. Awesome. Okay, those in favor? All on board. The next item is approval of the originator officials contract agreement. A motion to approve the officials contract in order to satisfy the bylaws and meet the requirements of the NFHS and MSHA. Okay.
So moved.
A second? Okay. Would you like to speak to that?
Sure.
agreement?
Just to give you some background on this, the way that we used to operate here at the school district was we paid on a voucher system to officials. And the way that worked was the vouchers were turned in after every game. We then signed off on the vouchers. They went to the central office for processing, and then we had to wait for the board meetings to approve payments for the officials. It held up some payments as long as maybe 45 days for officials that were working. We then moved over to an assigner about 5 years ago, and I think Mrs. Genge will agree that it's probably one of the better moves we've ever made, in that we cut one check to our official assigner, and then he is the one who generates all the payments for the officials. They get paid the day that they work. There is no more turnaround, no more waiting. What this originator's contract says is basically that we are still the hiring entity of the officials because we get the list, we go over them, we check everything, make sure they're registered officials with MSHA, do everything that we're supposed to do. He's just issuing the payment. This authorizes the district to authorize him to issue the payment, keeping it as a clean process. The other reason we're asking the board to sign on this is because it's a contract. And it will satisfy the bylaws through MSHA and through the NFHS. Any questions?
Questions for Mr. Marino? Awesome. Okay, those in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item is setting the tax rate. And previous to the 7 o'clock meeting, we did have a tax hearing when this information was shared and explained. Do I have a motion to approve the proposed tax rate for the 2018-19 school year?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion, questions that you've thought of since half an hour ago? No? Okay. Those in favor? Unanimous. D, approval of surplus items and date for the auction. A motion to approve the items as presented and approve the date of October 20th at 9 a.m. as the date for the auction. Okay. Second.
Second.
Any discussions, questions? Lots of goodie items on there, lots of VCRs and
Yes, some of that's from-
just what everybody needs. I know. That's why they're on the surplus list. All right, no discussion. Those in favor? Another unanimous. Next item is federal breakfast and lunch application. A motion to approve the school nutrition program application agreement for the 2018-19 school year. Second. Any discussion, changes?
This is just our application in order to get the reimbursement for school lunches.
breakfast.
breakfast.
Last year was about $700,000.
Oh, so that's probably
That's
a good,
pretty substantial.
pretty important.
Is this properly filled out? There was this part right here. Which I was telling you, but it says no, and then it says if no, here's the reason, it's blank. I wish I had time to bring this up.
That's because we do a free reduced lunch.
Okay. You don't
This
have to
point.
put something in
No,
it?
this has already been submitted to Destiny.
Oh,
And they're very good if it's not filled out, we'll send it right back.
Very good. Okay, those in favor? That is unanimous. We have a list of change orders. Do I have a motion to approve the change orders as presented?
Make a motion.
Second? Okay, and discussion? Dr. Isaacson, Ray?
Can you scroll that? Do you have,
I'm just wondering that time clock and bell programmer.
okay,
If that was what they proposed, we sent an email to them telling them we wanted to look into that a little further. For the junior high, is that what that one's for?
Mr. Bass?
Yes, in that one, I think we have not made a final decision on that yet. It is in Roy's hands yet, they're still talking technology.
Yeah, I'm talking to some other companies about
Yeah.
that cost. And
We're doing follow-up with them today, Kathy, with some emails back and forth.
it appears that the one that they're suggesting is a little antiquated. We're looking for something that's more web-based, that instead of having to go back to there and
Manually do it.
And let's strike that as they presented. And the other one we need to strike is CP19 double door at the gym. I did not approve them to continue with that. That was a door, adding a double door on the Coach Gromberg side of the locker room. That price was just too much to go and add a door at this time. And so I said no, not to go through there, and that was an oversight on my part on approving these. So I don't want to recommend that to be.
So those two items,
Yep.
so be as amended. Is that okay with our first and our second?
Sure. What does it bring the total to? You know? I don't remember.
That's one way.
So, 26,875, and that 4,000, 22 and some change.
You can look at it as amended, the blue
Yes.
lines,
Oh,
where we actually vote.
yes. Also, I had given the board this spreadsheet here, so I want to walk us through that. Is this here, we requested from the architects, and a breakdown of kind of where we are at financially with the projects, as close to where we can be for this time. There's going to be some changes, but so that we can, so that you as a board is informed on making these decisions on how much funds we still have left. So the blue lines that I've on this sheet are the important ones. There's the construction contingency. That is the fund of money that was set aside for change orders and items directly related to the construction. And then items B, C, D, E, and F were all kind of lumped together. And you'll see the bottom line is the owner contingency. And the items within those funds are, you'll see under letter B, special construction, that they budgeted $50,000 for exterior and interior signage. So that money hasn't been spent yet, but that's what's in the budget. the junior high slope control, and like the bleachers for the junior high. That's been completed, so you'll see that that's an actual amount. The furniture and all of those items, most of our furniture has been ordered. We feel good on that being complete, or fairly complete, where there won't be large fluctuations in that number. The non-permanent appliances are like a stove for a fax room, and some of those that we may need to order. And so the professional services, so far, like on the materials testing, they budgeted 40,000. We've only spent 26,000 to date per the invoices through August. Technology, the mechanical controls, the budgeted amount was $45,000. We've actually spent above that. So that is listed there. And then some miscellaneous costs, bid advertisement, bond costs, property costs. Those are budgeted amounts. I was visiting with Ms. Genge this afternoon. There is some differences that we determined that are actually still to the good on the bond number was like 800.
It's like $60,000 too high.
Yeah, $60,000 too high. But when you add those two numbers together, we're still roughly, 600,000.
It's about 642,800
So,
minus what this is. I guess.
this is included in
This
this.
is included.
Yeah, so if you go up to item 7, approved change orders, I talked with Roy and he said that he was including
Okay.
these in that number.
Oh, okay.
So obviously but he was including the $4,000
Right.
that he should not have. So, and in visiting with him, he feels like that, there may be some things come up, but that we should have a fairly decent amount left over for further projects. But he said you should have at least 500,000, but that still shows. Yeah, but he's not going to say that, and I don't want to commit to that because who knows. But that's our goal is, and he says with the amount of, you can see the change orders are shrinking, and now we're going to have to,
Yeah.
some of the technology and these items, there can be some fluctuation, but that's, because we want to try to have as much left over to do other things, so.
Okay. Here's a question that probably lots of people have. The date, we had talked about like the primary moving into their classrooms like over Christmas. Are the dates for the different buildings pretty much on target still, right?
That's what the total says.
They are fairly well on their target. There's going to be a little bit of delay, a little bit, but right now we're looking at everything coming on board about in December. To
Okay.
answer your question, getting some of these teachers into their new classrooms, that could be a challenge. And the reason why is because depending on how fast they turn them over to us to get them prepped for the floors, but also for the technology to finish up what they need to do.
So there's
So
still
we'd like
Hillsborough
to
time.
ask everybody to caution everybody not to say, hey, during Christmas break, they might give me those rooms on December 31st, yes, and they finish their quota. Unfortunately, technology and us have to work hand in hand to accommodate, to get all that rearranged, set up, and then get the furniture moved in. Then the poor teachers have one day to try to come back from a Christmas break and try to get stuff ready for their students. Maybe a little bit of a challenge, to be honest with you. But for the administration wing, stuff like that, that's well on target, we'll be fine there. But to be honest with you, and if we looked at some of the scope, and like they won't finish up everything out there, some that's going to go out for like hardware and door stuff that won't hit in some buildings until like January 19th, which means basically that in some cases we'll have some doors that are operational but not lockable operational. So that's something that we have to look at, and they're working on trying to get that finished. But there's some stuff that will be there in case. Now next month, when we get ready, we're going to walk primary, for example, to start a punch list of some of the issues that they've got to make sure it's done correctly. And we're doing that in, what is it, second, third, right? October 3rd. We'll actually walk that building. So, but yeah, we're good on target, so to speak, but just to tell everybody that you're gonna be in your, new classrooms come January the 5th, might be a little young.
And honestly, from my personal opinion, I hadn't thought about the Hillsborough connection there after construction is over. That's gonna take time too. So, okay, thank you.
One quick thing is, I had misplaced the sheet I'd written all the notes on, is on the property cost, where they budgeted $950, the amount that Ms. Genja was $887, $321. But the bond cost to date, it was like $57,000 as opposed to $54, so it was $3,000 higher. The number, the subtotal on costs, that we had was about $946,000. So there was a little bit. We could tack that on potentially to that number.
Okay.
642, 797.
So, those in favor of the change orders as amended? Okay, next item is the early retirement incentive. Dr. Isaacson, can you speak to that?
Yes, there's not necessarily a vote, it's just the will of the board kind of inquiring, do we want to explore doing an early retirement incentive for our staff, both certified and classified. We did this in 2015 and 16 and realized savings for the district. So this kind of a time frame is we'll survey the staff, allow them to visit with who they need to visit with. If they're eligible to retire, to have those discussions, and I visit with them as well to kind of see what is the interest level, because that's important, is we have to see, in order for us to move forward with this as a district, it has to, while it's going to be beneficial to the retirees, it has to make sense for the employees in the district who are still here. And so we offer it to all of our staff, and that's important, but what makes it feasible for the district to do, it's really driven by the certified staff. And what I mean by that is a teacher, there may be a $30,000 difference in the salary of a 30-year teacher and hiring a newer teacher. Whereas if a paraprofessional would retire, is like on our last retirement incentive, we gave $6,000 a year. Well, a paraprofessional works a little over 1,000 hours. So it's about $6 an hour difference. There's not $6 an hour typically difference between your para that's leaving and what we would pay on a new para. So you may be losing money per se on that particular transaction. But overall, it usually works out. So I need to I have an idea of who our eligible retirees are, visit with them and look and say, hey, as a district, this is what we'll save. Ms. Brazier, I sent it to her and said, hey, can we do this again? She recommended, instead of doing the insurance, she recommended paying out the $12,500, which is just in 1 year. Give it to the employees to do with it as they wish. They can buy back their insurance, use it to pay their insurance, but then the district is, just fiscally doing that. Ms. Gensch, can you speak to that? There's pros and cons to that.
I mean, you get it done all in one transaction if you do it in 1 year, and the insurance costs fluctuate, so.
But the con could be what is the impact on the budget for that year. So that's something that we'll have to decide is we kind of spread that out, and I was looking at the last one where we saved kind of equal amounts both years. It was like $100 and some odd $1,000 for each year. Is if we do this and gave it all 1 year, you wouldn't have as much savings that first year, you're just getting it all the second year. But if it financially makes sense, and you're still saving money in year one, you know, to do what we need to do for all the staff here. So just to look at it, I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts so that we can really explore it deeper and have conversations with staff to see, hey, how many people are interested.
And if I remember correctly, when we did this the last time, there had to be a certain number of certificated staff to make it financially beneficial for both.
Typically,
avenues.
and it'd be like, we used 4 or 5 at the time. It's hard to come up with a defined number because it could be 3 of the right ones.
Right.
I mean,
I
and
understand.
that's really it. It could be
Right.
3 of the right teachers that are high up on the salary schedule would still, and classified. There may be some classified staff that makes it make sense. It's just, but that's what we need to see.
Wait.
Because I don't want to say we have to have 5 and there's 4, and it's still financially beneficial to all involved. So,
You're gonna feel that out ahead of time anyway.
absolutely, that would be by October. You know, we're kind of like, hey, these are. We're going to ask for kind of a firm commitment. We need to. That, hey, would you do it? And then the board submit it to the board in October. They have to have like 45 days in order to evaluate it. And so that'll set the deadline date so that we can try to, if we're going to do it, is to have it complete no later than January. Because that puts us in a position to, one, evaluate all positions and, how do we want to move forward? How do we want to rehire? And then also, we have our job fair, and we get pick of the litter on the hiring process for the following year. It puts us in.
So at this point, you just simply want to know from us, are we interested in looking into this? Are we going to
To
spend
do the research.
admin time to look into this?
I'm always good about saving money.
Long
Yes.
term.
The part that stinks about that is are we sometimes asking some people who are in positions of mentoring or leaders in our buildings to leave early? Might get
I kind of was considering that. That's always the pro and con. Your years of experience go down on average if you're doing this. But at the same time, if they're eager about it, or if they're willing to do it, it might say they're ready, they're kind of burning out anyway or something.
No doubt. Here's the thing. In doing it, you always lose some great people.
Yeah, you do.
We're going to lose some great people. And some, when we see names, we're like, oh. But that's part of the, but it's also, for those, I look at that as our great people got really something nice. And thanks for working at Hillsborough. And no doubt that.
And you want them to leave at that point rather than when they're,
Down.
too many years in and they're
Sure.
just done.
And just to kind of speak to that, I hadn't even considered retiring, and they kind of dangled an early retirement, and it's like, oh, wow. And they came and asked me, I thought, yeah, I might do that. And I hadn't even considered it yet, and then they took it away, and it didn't work.
That might
But
happen here too.
I got a
mean,
baby.
if we
Yes,
don't
it
have the right
could.
numbers.
That's
and-
true.
I hope that, of course, that would be made very
But baby
clear.
came along,
So people would
grandbaby,
understand
so
that carrot
that
might be
was
taken
enough.
away.
And that is true. But I hadn't even thought about it at that point.
And I've learned from the last time when we did it, is it's a hard decision.
It is.
Everyone talks about retirement, that's gonna be awesome, until
It is.
you're kind of looking at it,
Isn't it, Renee?
and it's just a major, but it's a kind of a milestone.
Yeah, it is.
I was some that I thought it'd be very easy, they struggled with it, because it's kind of, that decision, and they weigh it, but also, and some won't, they're not ready, but the ones that are,
You get more gray hair when you do it. Or maybe less, I'm not sure.
so.
And I think this is, as long as you guys are willing to do the work for it, I think it's easy for us to say, yes, let's investigate this. So do you need me to make a motion or?
No, this is
Okay,
just
we're not
simply,
voting on it.
It
I
was
mean, as
just,
long as you guys want to do the work.
well, and I don't mind, but it was one of those, I feel it's important to not put the board in a tough spot, or we did all this and talk with people, and the board be like, oh, hey, hold on a second. You know, that's not, I don't believe in those.
And how many years apart? I forgot, when did we do this before? Was it just
2015,
15. Okay,
So,
so every 3
Maybe
years.
3 years.
yeah. So, and there's a little bit of a moving target that we have to kind of factor into this, because that goes into the making it beneficial for the district,
Mhm.
is you also, people start waiting around. For it, like, oh, when are they going to do it? And there's looking at where people are, can they go? And there's a little bit of a
And you had in the thing, the earliest we'll offer this again is such and such
18,
year.
19.
Right,
It's because we have to.
And we're under no obligation to do so and all that.
right. So it's just, so, anybody have any reasons
I
not to?
appreciate you bringing this forward. It's good.
Then I think you have another little job to add to your agenda. Welcome to the life. All right, approval of the work session of the board on October the 10th. Dr. Underwood would like to have a work session with the board on October 10th at 6 p.m. And this was the date that we have kind of set aside to deal with superintendent search. And I also do know that he is going to meet on that day with faculty and public prior to us. So this just kind of makes sense, and it was set up for that.
Well,
Make a motion.
What,
Motion, probably should have made a motion first. I started talking, sorry. Second?
Sure.
Okay, now discussion.
what
Sorry.
time was he thinking? Because
This says 6, but I
evenings
think
are-
we did
I
6:30.
emailed, the reason I couldn't make the last one, Wednesdays are not, evenings are not good for me, so I can't make it if it's on that.
So we'll be doing it at 6:30?
Well, that's what was getting ready to ask Beth, because you talked to him. Usually, these meetings that we've had have been at 6:30 instead of 6. What is,
He's gonna be here.
right, he's gonna be here that day, which was one of the reasons why they set up the focus groups on that day.
He also
Because,
has on his blue piece of paper list October 11th, it's
And there's
Thursday.
some other dates he has on there.
There's, I mean, but he's probably trying to do the work session after he does the meetings with the administration and teachers. So
right,
I'm thinking,
so it would be kind of like saving us money,
yeah,
because it's
He'd already be
one
here.
trip down here. He's here for the other 2 groups, and that was the date that we had, actually, that was the date we had set aside, the second Wednesday of every month.
Well, just an FYI, I let President Welker know in an email that Wednesday evenings do not work from now on.
From now on, not ever, this isn't important enough
Well,
to
Not till the
change.
end of time, eternity.
Well, I know, but,
you know.
As long as you're.
Yeah, as long as I'm on this earth. No, not even that.
and this is not an interview, I think he's coming to share
Sure.
information that he has gathered. So,
you gonna videotape it?
is this open session?
Well, it should be.
I was just
There's no
suggesting-
reason
I
to
was gonna
close it.
say, there's
No
no
legal
reason for it not to be,
So, Mr.
except that
Schuster-
he'll be talking about candidates that he's talked with, so it could be.
His blue sheet says they meet with the parents and community at 6:30.
Yeah, he has afternoon listed prior to the BOE work session on these little listed dates.
Any of the dates would work fine. I guess I didn't see this one. 4 o'clock or so, parents and community 6:30 or so, whichever start time you think works best. So have you actually talked to him? Yeah, you talked to him. I haven't.
What he said was that if he could do it all on one trip down, of course, it would save us money because of his reimbursement expense. But he said that if we could do the staff like at 3:45, and then that way they don't go home and come back, and we might have a better turnout. And then
That's
do
true.
the community at 5,
Okay, that's what I had heard
the meeting at like 6 or 6:30 with the board.
with us. Okay. And am I right in that this is just simply talking with us about the applicants and the surveys, which the survey information can be public, but I don't know about that might be something we need to clarify. Because they'll be talking about applicants and their
I kind of think that we should take the survey from the community that we did online and then get information that he got from the administrators when he met with them. And then take also what he gets from the staff and then the community and kind of see what you all
consolidate.
and see what the board would like.
So it might be actually be a mixture of, all of that would be open session. And then if he goes into the applicants, that could be very likely be executive session. Question?
Not on that.
Oh.
I messed up, that's right. I want to
Oh, you know, okay. Okay, so, question, I guess the, you know.
I make a motion for you to find out what we're supposed to approve.
Yeah, if there's something important like
It's
voting,
funny
that's
motion.
fine.
That's right. I thought we may, can we just go ahead and plan on October 10th, since that's what he wants to do and it's gonna save us money? And no offense, John, but I mean, maybe we could videotape it if it's
If it's just
open.
informational,
I think
don't.
it's a work
If it's just
session.
informational, that's one thing. If it's something where.
I mean,
input is
we are not
required or
meeting
wanted,
or
that's different.
interviewing candidates or anything like that at this point.
Sure.
It's just, I think it is just a work session
Just
for
to go
us
over what
to
he's gotten from
communicate,
everybody. and-
yes. And so, if it is a work session
At 6:30.
at 6:30, kind of go with our plan, and then when we get to the more serious stuff,
Well, I will email him and see if there's what he plans
Okay.
on doing. So, I can't vote on one way or another without knowing.
okay, so what do we have? Do we have a motion on the floor to accept this? Yes. Okay. At 6:30. At 6:30, yes. Okay, those in favor to do this October 10th at 6:30? Okay, those against? That's all right, abstain, which one?
I'll abstain.
Okay, he's gonna abstain. Okay. So now we have an issue.
Yeah, I don't know how to address this. On the approval of Board of Education minutes from the work session, I was inaccurate. Mr. Schuster was right. Is according to our board policy, a motion shall pass if a majority of those members present vote in favor of the motion, provided that a quorum is present, unless otherwise prescribed by law or policy. An affirmative vote of a majority of the whole board, so like the four, is required to enter into a contract, employ a person, or approve a bill or issue a warrant, of which that's what,
See that action.
so that's where I was coming
Parliamentary procedure, it's at 2:30.
2:30. So that's where I was, got the four was always to approve a contract or a teaching. So I was wrong. I don't know how to,
Go back and do
well,
that.
yeah, maybe that's go to the next
Just make,
meeting.
can we just pull it from the
And
table?
I'm gonna say, can we just leave it as it is and do it next
You
time?
wanted to approve and abstain, but then we were gonna put it on the October minute, or the October agenda, we won't have to do that now. That wasn't part of the motion though, it was, because the motion was to approve the minutes as they were, and then that's what I did last time. And then they voted, that you abstained and three voted.
So then it was, you have it correct as
Yeah,
far as,
I mean, I think I do, and we just don't have to put it on the October minute.
I just want to make sure that,
Yeah, that makes sense.
that we clarified and got it
Since
right.
we-
Brought it up.
We don't have the guru of parliamentary procedures.
I apologize. I was-
That's right. So we're good? Okay, so we, a motion to recess, open session to return to executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you all for coming.